Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I am good. Let me make you the co-host. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Some of us, we know each other personally, and some of us are probably meeting for the first time online. But so grateful that you've taken this opportunity to be here with all of us. I just thought maybe we can get to know each other a little bit better. If it's possible, you can turn your camera on, but if not, that's fine. Just quickly, I see Shama Mohini on my screen first. If you want to just go quickly, just say where you're from, your name, and I think that's good for now. And we'll get to know each other over the course of, this whole semester, then maybe more semesters.
Hare
Quickly.
Krishna. My name is Mohini Devidasi, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
She's the secretary to the ministry, and she's my boss. Okay, Sangini, I see you next.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for doing this, and Hare Krishna to all the other Vaishnavis over here. Please accept my humble obeisances. My name is Sangini Golokeshwari Devidasi, and I'm from Sacramento, same congregation as Govinda Priya Mataji.
Thank you, Sangini. Ayushi?
Hare Krishna to all the devotees. I'm Aradhya Radhika Dasi. I'm from Perth, Western Australia.
Hi. Dula?
Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Dula, and I live in Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Shifali?
Hare Krishna Mataji. My name is Shifali. I am from India, but currently living in Canada, Vancouver.
Thank you. Sanya?
Hello everyone, I'm Sanya from UK.
Jai Nitya Kishori.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Nitya Kishori Devidasi. I'm in Vancouver as well. Hare Krishna.
Chandrika Radha.
Hare Krishna devotees. My name is Chandrika Radha Devidasi. I am from Oklahoma.
Jai. Thank you. Jai. Madhu?
Hi. Hare Shri Krishna. My name
Hare
is
Krishna.
Madhu. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Thank you for joining us, Madhu. Bimala Bhakti? If you're able to speak.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I am from Bimla Bhakti from Calgary, Canada.
Oh, thank you. Atma Darshini.
Hi Krishna, I'm Atmadarshini Dasi from Toronto, Canada.
Thank you for joining us. Ananga. Oh, Rahul Prabhu is here.
Hare Krishna. I'm Anangasuri Devi Dasi. Sorry, I'm a little sick. But I'm from ISKCON of Silicon Valley. So nice to see you all here.
Hare Krishna. Rahul Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hi.
I'm Rahul. I'm from ISKCON Toronto. It's just I won't be able to turn my camera on because we are having Rath
Rath
Yatra right
Yatra.
now.
I'm surprised you even joined. So many of them messaged me that there's
Yeah.
Rath Yatra there. Thank you.
Yes, I couldn't miss. Thank you.
Hare, Hare Krishna. Sushi.
Hare Krishna Mataji's Danai Pranama. My name is Sushi. I'm from Sacramento, California.
Thank you. And Fanindra? We're just introducing. I see you just joined. If you're able to unmute and speak just your name and where you're from, that would be great.
Hare Krishna Matri. I'll turn on my video in a few minutes.
Okay.
Matri, my name is Madhuri Gopi and I'm from Oklahoma, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Jai,
Thank
did
you
I
so much.
miss?
Thank you so
Yes.
much for this creating this platform, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for everyone that's been able to turn their camera on. It makes it so much more lively to have a face to the name. But I understand, everyone's in different parts of the world and God knows what time it is there. We tried to do the best time for everyone, but it's impossible. Thank you again for being here. Did I miss anyone? Hopefully not, as people are joining. So, first of all, really grateful. And this is actually, I'm doing it for my own inspiration. So if anybody else is getting inspiration, it's just a byproduct of what I'm trying to keep my own self inspired to read, study Srila Prabhupada's books, his purports, and also to really dive deeper into what Srila Rupa Goswami has said. I did create a PowerPoint and I wanted to give you this first session as an orientation. But I want to say one thing before we begin, that you're going to need to set aside at least 15 to 20 minutes every single day. And it's not a lot. It's definitely not a lot. It's just a matter of habit. So if you can decide what time of the day works best for you, then you will be able to successfully complete the semester. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult because it's going to need consistency. And what I found in my own study and practice of Krishna consciousness is that if I club an activity together with something that I'm already doing, like when I started to read, just before going to bed, I would take out 15, 20 minutes and read. So have the book by your bedside. If that time is just totally exhausting, then maybe right after you wake up or whatever time works for you. Maybe you're at work and you have lunch break before you take your lunch or something. Tie it with something that you're already doing. And that way, the success of this is probably going to be far, far more. Because not only we are planning to read Prabhupada's books, we really want to meditate on what those verses and what those prayers really mean for us. So has everybody got the resource guide? Has everybody getting the emails? I'm assuming you are because you're here. I did try to create a notebook. Either you can print it if you like. If it's too much waste of paper, you can try to use an What I'm trying to do is just have it on my note. And I have a notebook which I can use a pen with. It's an e-notebook. So I've just downloaded and I can just write in it, just online. Or you can just make your own notebook. Just use the date, make your own, whatever works for you. Don't be stuck with, don't limit yourself with what I have given you. But at the same time, that's there for a resource to help you. Okay? And having said that, I tried to create a way that we will at least learn 12 verses. Because one of the most important thing of smaranam is patanam. When you study, and you start reciting what you have studied. There is no better way to learn than to teach. And that's why I began the session by telling you that the whole purpose of this course was for me to dive deeper. I'm going to be forced to study because I have to show up here, right? So that's the idea, that I want that all of you are also forced to study because you have to show up somewhere. Try to find an avenue. If you don't have an avenue, we'll create an avenue for you through the ministry, because we want you to study and we want you to share. Okay? We want you to share this. And that's one of the easiest and best way of absorbing Krishna Katha. It's very naturally, it's like an overflowing fountain, right? If you keep submerging yourself, you'll be forced to talk about Krishna. And that goes very deep, because you can read and you'll forget. You can study and over a period of time you'll forget. But if you start reciting it, it's going to be very difficult for you to forget. Krishna becomes impossible to forget. That's our goal. Plus, I think prayers have so many layers of realization. And there's always Srila Rupa Goswami, and we'll discuss this further. He actually explains that the stages of remembrance, the first stage of remembrance is smaranam. Just purely remembering, off and on. Oh, today's Rath Yatra, and then you just kind of think of Lord Jagannath's pastimes. Just once in a year, somehow it pops up in your brain because Rath Yatra is coming. That's smaranam. The second stage of remembrance, which Srila Rupa Goswami says, is called dharana. Dharana means, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that dharana is actually like you're trying to pour oil. And for some time, you can see a stream. So dharana is when you're able to fix your mind on Krishna for a short period of time. Yes, for a short period of time. Then, after this stage, comes the stage that we want to try to achieve. Yes, we want to try to achieve this stage because in this stage, you start making things personal. You know what that means? Oftentimes, when we talk to someone and somebody's upset, we casually tell them, don't take it personally, right? Because they start feeling offended by it. They're so involved in it emotionally. That's why they start taking it offended. Like you can make a simple comment. Many of us, I see we're from Indian origin, and we say, Indians are always late. If we say that, and someone says, oh, how can you say that about Indians? I can say that because I'm Indian. But if we say that, and they start becoming offended, why? Because they took it personally. They thought they are Indians, and then in their brain, they formulated that this is actually a personal attack on me, right? They took it personally. So this stage, and I'm going to recollect the name, in this particular stage, we start having personal likings, dislikings in Krishna's pastimes. We start enjoying Krishna's pastimes or relishing Krishna's pastimes in a way that, my favorite is Damodar Leela, or I really like this particular verse of Damodar Ashtakam, or I like this Acharya's commentaries more, or we start becoming deeply involved in dhyan. Thank you. The stage of dhyan. So in the stage of dhyan is where you become personally involved. And that stage is so sweet because you become a part of Krishna's pastimes. And with prayers, I found that it's very, very easy to have that aspect of dhyan. Thank you, Nanga, for reminding us. The next stage is called Anusmriti or Dhruva Smriti. Why? Because of Dhruva Maharaj's, Dhruva means determination. And in that stage, it becomes easier. Constant remembrance of Krishna is always there in the back of your mind. So even your daily activities that you do remind you of Krishna. You're just walking, and every time you see the sky, you remember, or a rain cloud, you remember Krishna's bodily color. You see flowers, you remember, oh, I can offer this to Krishna. Everything becomes about Krishna. For mothers, it's very easy because if you have raised toddler children, you know what that means. You could be cooking, but you know what's going on. And if you don't hear your child for 15 minutes, they're up to something, right? So we constantly have that in the back of our mind, and that is called Dhruva Smriti. Irrespective of what you're doing, Krishna's constantly absorbed in your mind. And the last stage of remembrance or smaranam is samadhi, where nothing else is remembered. Only Krishna is remembered. We only remember Krishna. That's the stage that we want to be at the time of our leaving this world. We can be in that stage anytime, but we have things to do, right? We still have to book tickets, we still have to cook, we still have to think of other things. So we can stay between the stages of dhyan and anusmriti. Or anusmriti is so wonderful because Krishna is there constantly. You're thinking about what Krishna is doing at different parts. And prayers make it so easy. When you start diving deeper into the prayers, you start understanding the mood. One thing beautiful about the prayers that I find really, really beautiful is that when you hear about Krishna's pastimes, you're hearing third person, right? This one did this, and this one said this to this. And then Krishna raised his Sudarshan Chakra. And you're hearing third person, okay, this is happening in a scene. Now, when you're hearing this one is going to say this to this one, that's again very third person. But when you're hearing a particular devotee reciting the prayers, the acharyas, Srila Shukdev Goswami or the sages of Naimisharanya, they start saying, okay, now Dhruva Vacha, Dhruva says, Kunti Vacha, Kunti says. Then you're directly hearing what Kunti Maharani is saying to Krishna. And you're able to see how great souls converse with Krishna. And that gives us insight into how we can also converse with Krishna. Because Krishna is a person and he reciprocates with that conversation. And prayers is a very intimate conversation between devotees and Krishna. Yes, not many a times everybody's going to allow you to read their prayers. It's a very intimate thing, right? You don't often get, like if I write a prayer, I'm not sure if I'm going to be comfortable with 50 people to see a prayer, unless it's casual. But over there, they're really opening themselves up, and their vulnerability is what touches us very deeply and allows us to express those prayers. And really imbibe the mood of those prayers and then develop our own mood of praying. It could have elements from different personalities. And that's where that favoritism comes. When you start taking elements. I'm thinking that, oh my God, if I reading Kunti Maharani's prayers and she says, oh, Vipida, let Vipida keep coming into my life. I'm not sure if I'm there yet. I'm thinking, please, Vipida, stay away so I can continue. Maybe that's not my favorite part. Maybe I like Dhruva Maharaj's prayers where he says, I want this also, and I want this also, and I want this also. And then finally he says, you know what, why was I asking for broken pieces of glass? Maybe that's more relatable to me. Whatever is relatable to you, Srimad Bhagavatam has that. And we can take elements of these prayers, and the end of the course, we should be able to write. We should be able to write whenever you like. You don't have to wait for the end of the course. But by the end of the course, we should have a deeper understanding of these prayers. So I'm going to first share my screen. And, feel free to unmute and share. This is not a one-way conversation. Definitely not a one-way conversation. So you can unmute each and every one of you, right? It's not restrictive. Yes, you can all unmute, right?
Yes, Madhuri.
Yes. Thank you. So feel free to unmute whenever you like. But I'm going to share my screen. And I want to make sure that I can share all the tabs. Give me a second. Okay. Are you all able to see my screen? And what do you see? Do you see the orientation? What do you see now? Do you see the drive?
The drive, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So there's 5 documents in the drive. And one is the at-glance calendar. Basically, I tried to work this out. It might change, but that's irrespective. We're going to try to stick to this as much as possible because I've tried to make it really, really easy. That nobody comes back and says, I didn't get time, because I'm telling you, this is going to take you 15 to 20 minutes every day. So you're here and you're committing in this assembly of devotees to giving 15 to 20 minutes every single day. Yes? Anybody has a problem with that? No. Okay, not so far. So this is just the orientation. And then today itself, our course starts. So week 1 starts today when we're going to start studying Kunti Maharani's prayers. And in the next, after we finish the class, maybe in the next couple of hours, what I was thinking of doing is going to give you a week calendar. Even though it's here, and I've left it even in your notebook, that on this day you read this verse, and this day you read this verse, and this day you read this verse, but I'll also put it on a 1-page sheet to make it easy. Now, I said all of these documents are just to help you. If you want to read everything in one day, nobody's going to restrict you for that. But this is the minimum to do. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, minimum 16 rounds, right? So this is the minimum that we will do to make this course successful. All right, so this is just your calendar for the whole semester, which contains of 23 weeks. So if you have said, I'm going to be here for semester 1, maximum number of you said that we're going to be here for all 3 semesters. So 1.5 years of knowing each other. But some of you have said the first semester, that's 23 weeks of studying together, 12 verses of memorization. We're going to quiz each other off and on. If we've already memorized, I might just come here and give one of you the opportunity to pull anyone and, say if you're comfortable, recite this verse. So we are going to memorize verses, because when we memorize verses, it gives us the confidence to speak those verses when we're sharing about Krishna. And it's not really important to memorize the verse in one sense, but it's like when you speak the language of the devotees, their realizations also become deeper. So you can know the translation, and that's sufficient for having remembrance of Krishna. But when we memorize the verse, when we sing the Bengali bhajans in Bengali, when we learn the Sanskrit verses in Sanskrit, it does have a special connection, because it's the language of a person. So it's like, if you want to get to know someone, you speak a language that they're familiar with, you attract their mercy, right? So when we memorize a couple verses of Kunti Maharani's prayers, you'll actually start seeing the depth of her prayers, and you get her blessings and mercy when you start to speak the language she spoke. Yes? So that's just a way to encourage. A little bit of pressure is going to be there, and that's only for you to be able to be successful. So, and for me, so anyone can pick me as well, and say, okay, go in the prayer, you need to recite this verse. All right. So the next thing I want to show you is the notebook, which kind of, the first page is just what we're trying to do. This is the orientation, even though today we'll just go over one verse, but I put some standard verses of the Bhagavatam here that I find are very fundamental to the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. They're foundational verses of the Bhagavatam. So I put them here, but I'm going to only today discuss more about Nigama Kalpataru. And that's because this is one of the verses we're going to memorize. It is the crux of Srimad Bhagavatam in a very beautiful way. However, I put almost actually 5 verses, foundational verses, and then you can review. So the first week actually starts here, which starts today as Kunti Maharani's prayers. And we're going to be studying Kunti Maharani's prayers for almost a month. Okay, there's 4 weeks where we're doing Kunti Maharani's prayers. So here you can see I've mentioned day 1, 1.8.18, and then for your own, I read the verse, I read the purport, and I find that if I just pull out maybe 3 or 4 points from the verse, they stick with me. If I write a whole big, long summary, I tend to not get anything. So you can see what works for you. This usually works for me, just 3 or 4 points, unless I'm giving a whole Bhagavatam class. Even then, I pull 3 or 4 points, and then to make sense of those 3 or 4 points, you can dive into different aspects, stories, pastimes. And, we can even have a session on how to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is ultimately the goal, that we want all of you to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So similarly, you go forward, and day 5, day 6, day 7, and then I put in a little note here where you can write your weekly reflection. Because very important that after a week, you go over the entire week and see what worked, what didn't work. Also, what really you still remember from day 1. Okay, so you summarize the whole week for yourself. And that weekly reflection is what you're going to bring back to your next session on next Saturday. Does that make sense? Yes? So you studied the 7 verses, and you come back with those 7 verses, and we discuss over here. So I may give you like maybe 15-20 minutes to get you started, and then I want to hear from you that this really stood out for me, and this really stood out, and let's make that experience really deep for each and every one of us. Yes, everyone's willing? I'm looking at all your faces that are on. Okay, perfect. So this was the calendar. Now, to make our memorization of the verses a little easier, I first of all put a document together for all the verses that we're going to be memorizing throughout the entire semester. Okay. This is the orientation verse that we will recite. And what I did is I kind of broke it down by syllables because it makes it easier. And I also gave you the meter. And in this particular semester, we'll probably be learning 3 or 4 meters because all the verses will fall into these 3 or 4 meter category itself. Okay. So this is Vasanta Tilika meter, and we'll recite. I have also put the audio file of this. So if you go in here and you click here, there is an audio file for this particular. Okay. I don't know if you could hear, but you can take your time. Could you hear?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sharing the voice then. But it's there for you in your student folder. So this is the first verse. And I'm not putting all the verses there at one time because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. We want to really focus on this one particular verse. And the way to do this, I will put Queen Kunti's prayers maybe in a couple of days. You know, that we're going to learn 2 verses from Queen Kunti's prayers. You can learn more if you like, but minimum 2. So, because I find those 2 verses, and you can say, you know what, Mataji, I don't want to learn this one. I want to learn this one. That's fine. That's totally fine. I picked those because I find them foundational. And Prabhupada repeated them several times in several lectures. If you listen to Prabhupada's lectures on Queen Kunti's prayers, you'll find he repeats these 2 verses several times because they're the crux of her prayers. So I put them there. And I would like that if you memorize these 2 verses and then you can do something in addition, and you don't have resistance to it. One is a little difficult and one is very easy. So I also tried to balance it in a way that I didn't give you all the difficult verses, but at the same time, they're not all the easy verses. But the focus was that they're the ones that actually imbibe the mood. Okay. So this tells you all the verses we're going to learn this semester. And you can see I've broken them down by the prayers and the stutis that we're learning. Then this particular document, you might need to co-hold it, or this is just for your basic knowledge. Even if you don't know the chandas, it's not important because you have an audio file. You can hear just simply by hearing. That's how you memorize shlokas. You hear it 10 times every single day. If you're really inspired and you want to really learn this verse within the week, then I would suggest hear it 10 times in the morning and hear it 10 times before bed. Especially when you hear it before bed, it kind of lingers in your the back of your mind. You know, so I always like to read towards the end of the night as well, towards the end of my day when I'm retiring for bed. That really stays with you for an extended period of time in your subtle memory. So these basically Anushtupa Chandaha, Vasantilika, and Shardul Vrikrita. This is one of the difficult, because it's got 19 syllables. But, Bhishma Stuti comes in that. Most of Queen Kunti's prayers is easy. So how many padas? This is if you'd like to know a bit more about, so you can read through these chandas and the patterns. And every verse, like I said, I've broken it down into syllables for you, just so you know when to pause, when to raise. Also, these syllables will actually show you, whenever you see this little U underneath, basically you know that it's a shorter syllable. So, Vipada Shantuta Shashvat. So, Vipada, you see there's two shorts over here. If you look here, you can see short, short, long, short, right? So Vipada, da is longer and vip is shorter. But this is just a technical aspect. Don't be overwhelmed with it. Simply by oral reception, simply by hearing the verse, you're going to be able to memorize it. And that flow and the meter will automatically come. But this is for you to know. Yes? Don't overwhelm yourself with this, but this is nice to know that in the 8 syllables, there is 2 short first, then a little long, then a short, then there's long, 2 short, and then a long. So this syllable, the U means short, and the dash means long. Okay? Any questions you have? Any other suggestions you have that I should put here?
Mataji, I have a question, and the question is about the orientation week and the week 1. So is this today is the week 1 we are starting or the orientation we are starting?
We're starting week 1. Okay. I just put those as extra verses over there.
I see.
Okay. We'll start reading with week 1 because we want to finish this course in 23 weeks.
Okay.
We'll start reading week 1. So we'll start with Queen Kunti's prayers. But today, in this session for the next 20 minutes, we are going to I have a PowerPoint. We will talk about Nigama Kalpataru, the orientation verse that I have put. And that verse, I hope everyone memorizes. Because that anytime you speak about Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll find many devotees even recite that before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Because of the beauty, it explains what Srimad Bhagavatam is. So the purpose of putting that as the orientation verse or putting that verse out there is because it constantly reminds you what we have, what we're blessed with. Because I remember every time I read that our acharyas walked like 3,000 kilometers back and forth, or our acharyas had to walk and still not find the scriptures there. Like he went 3 times to find Chaitanya Leela, written in a palm leaf. And so many of our acharyas walked kilometers and kilometers to get their hands on palm leaves that spoke about the glories of Krishna. Somehow, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, even when Prabhupada was on this planet and he was translating, if you hear from Prabhupada disciples, they constantly tell you that we were eagerly waiting for the next chapter to be released and the next canto to be released. And then we have it all. Not only do we have the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, we have interpretations. We have devotees have even gone ahead and translated Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, Sarat Darshani, Jiva Goswami's commentaries, so many commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. We have so much access, and somehow we're still not able to read or develop that. So when I actually go back to this orientation verse constantly, it reminds me of the privilege that we have. And with the technology nowadays, you have everything in your fingertips, literally. Like you can hear a lecture in this particular verse by somebody sitting in maybe miles away from us, right? What we're doing now. We can associate with each other sitting miles away. So the access we have, sometimes we forget its value when you're just available all the time. But if we constantly make this orientation verse the foundation of this entire course, it will remind us of the asset we have without it becoming so casual. We could have, I have, my office has a Srimad Bhagavatam set, and I have in the family room another Srimad Bhagavatam set. So it's like I have two Srimad Bhagavatam sets within my own home. And then I have different commentaries of the different acharyas everywhere. And I'm thinking, and we're still not reading. Are you kidding me? Like, that's how it is. And I might have another set just sitting in my garage to give to someone. Is that much access? But really, we don't have the access because we're not opening up. So that verse for me is opening up and constantly reminding ourselves. So memorizing that verse is very foundational, I feel. Yes? Does that help answer your question? I went on a whole different tangent.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, anybody has any other reflections or would like to say something, or if they have any suggestions, please put it in the, if you have joined the WhatsApp group, if you're comfortable, put it in the WhatsApp group. You can also privately message me. I'm also in that WhatsApp group. You have access to my phone number. You have access to the Prarthana email. I do check that email, but if anybody wants my personal email too, you have access to that. Yeah, this is what I want to show you about the course folder. Let's go to, let me see if I can find that. Okay. Okay, so I'm so spontaneous. Even though I'm always prepared, but I'm pretty spontaneous by nature. I had a whole PowerPoint prepared for the orientation session, but we're not going to have time to even do that. But would you like me to share all these PowerPoints?
Yes, please, Mataji.
Okay, perfect. So I'll create a folder and feel free to share them. You can also make a copy, remove my name. I have no problem with that. Use whatever resource you need to share with others whenever you're speaking. If work is already done, you can just make a copy of this and change as you like. Feel free. You have there's no copyright to any of this. Please feel free to use, share, but speak about Krishna in whichever avenue, whichever space you get. Okay. And if you like me to create something, I'll be more than happy to, put something together. If you say that, oh, Mataji, I think this will be helpful. Can you please create this in the course? I'd be happy to, see how I can work with that. Okay. Let me, I'm going to have to, yeah, I see that here. Okay. So I definitely spoke about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, but we also want to remind ourselves why Srimad Bhagavatam was actually spoken. It was because Vyasadeva wasn't. Everybody probably knows this pastime, that Vyasadeva, after writing so many Puranas, he also finished Mahabharata. And after writing so many Vedic literatures, he was still not feeling satisfied within his heart. Yes? So sometimes we do so many things and we still feel the lack of satisfaction. We can understand why Narad Muni instructed Srila Vyasadeva to deep dive into the pastimes of Krishna. He said, you haven't spoken or you haven't written sufficiently. Because in different aspects in Mahabharata, Krishna comes. But it's not all about Krishna. There's a lot of politics happening in Mahabharata. There's a lot of other dynamics. But over here in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is the main story. Right? So Vyasadeva actually was told by Narad Muni that because you've not directly glorified Krishna, you're not really relishing the bliss of Krishna consciousness. And that's what we're trying to do. Relish the bliss, the same bliss that Vyasdev was relishing when he felt satisfied after writing Srimad Bhagavatam. And then what happens to Srimad Bhagavatam? Vyasadeva wrote it, but our beautiful verse that we're going to talk about, we say that it becomes sweeter because Shukha is also known as parrot. Whenever a bird pecks a fruit, the birds naturally have the instinct of pecking fruits that are sweet. And you know what happens if they peck the fruit? The fruit becomes sweeter. They have something in their saliva that makes the fruit sweeter. So here, even though, and that is why reading these verses give you so many layers. This is a natural phenomena. Yes, birds make fruit sweeter. But here Shuka is also Shukadev Goswami. When Shukadev Goswami recites what Vyasadeva has already written, it becomes sweeter. His way of recitation makes it sweeter to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. And what really is what I find really striking, many times we say the first two cantos talk about the creation, and Srimad Bhagavatam actually talks about 10 topics that we'll discuss shortly. But we think, the Bhagavatam actually talks about creation. We often say the first and the second canto are the lotus feet and the ankles of Krishna. And as we progress towards the cantos, the 10th canto is the beautiful face of Krishna. Yes? Have you heard that? Yes? So that's why we say when you take darshan of the deities, you always start with the feet. And when you start reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we should start reading with the first canto, because then you can really understand the 10th canto pastimes. Because now you've seen the Aishwarya of Krishna and you've seen the Vaibhav of Krishna. Then you can actually relate to Krishna that he's not an ordinary person. Yes? Then you can somehow, even then it's very difficult because we have material senses and but we can see a little glimpse of what it means, what pure devotional service actually means. So everybody says it starts with creation, but the very fact Om actually means surrender. So Srimad Bhagavatam actually is an act of surrender, because even Vyasadeva, first he was just going on academic skills. But when he starts with Srimad Bhagavatam, that was because he surrendered to Narada Muni. And he accepted the instructions of Narada Muni. So go with the mood, approach Srimad Bhagavatam with the surrender that I'm here to be completely submerged into this nectarian ocean of Krishna's pastimes. And I want to drown in this ocean. So I'm going to, leave all my guards off, all my academic attributions or anything. Please help me really, really uncover the different layers of each verse. If we say this as a prayer, even to Srila Vyasadeva, to Srila Shukdev Goswami, before we begin, they're going to help us and support us, and to Srila Prabhupada, who actually elaborated these purports for us. That gives us, so there's 10 different topics that are spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, we talk about Sarga, which is the primary creation. We talk about Visarga, the secondary creation, which Brahma creates. Then Sthana, and of course, Sthana is maintenance, that Krishna does. Poshana, protection. And when we actually start understanding these 10 aspects of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we'll see how different prayers will also show us these different aspects of the Bhagavatam. And I'll give you an example here. So, Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, Uti. Yes? Uti is actually desires that devotees have. Not everybody started out as pure devotees. Sometimes you see the whole process of their growth, and it gives us hope. Sometimes you see that, they had certain, fears. They had certain aspirations. They had certain desires. So we don't become desireless. They approached Krishna in different ways, in different moods. And it starts giving us a whole area of developing that dharana, our personal choices. Yes? Manmantra, it talks about the Manus. Ishanu Katha. So most of the prayers will be Ishanu Katha, narrations of the Lord and his devotees. Then it also talks about Nirodha, dissolution, right? The winding up of the Lord's pastimes. Mukti, Ashraya. So these 10 are the primary topics. And I'm going to just give you, like I mentioned, I literally just mentioned the names for you. But as we go into the prayers, you can also think, does this tie in with any of the 10 topics? That could be your own meditation. Like, think. Also, when you start seeing prayers, especially when you go to the second and the third prayer that we're learning in the semester, you start seeing if there's any commonality between the first prayer that you learn. What are the certain elements that are similar? That's when you'll start tying this whole picture together, and you'll start using your brain and your intelligence to connect. Yes? So I just put a few things down here. Like, I find that in Lord Brahma's prayers, it touches Sarga Visarga. Like, within his prayers only he talks, because he's so connected with Visarga. He naturally starts to glorify Krishna about Sarga and Visarga, right? Because that is his relationship with Krishna in Sarga and Visarga. Like in Kunti's prayers, you'll see the Lord's protection. She talks a lot about the Poshana. Or because she says, you protected me from all these obstacles that kept coming. Lord, in Dhruva Maharaj's prayers, I find he talks a lot about liberation, about mukti. So, but the commonality and the thread that joins all of these prayers is Ashraya. Ultimately points to the shelter of Krishna. So they may talk about different aspects, these 10 different aspects, Sarga, Visarga, Poshana, Uti, they talk about different aspects, different prayers. But the string for all prayers is Ashraya, which is taking shelter of Krishna. They all take, you read Vritrasura's prayers, same thing. He's talking so many things, but ultimately it's shelter. Kunti's prayers, ultimately what she wants to do, shelter. Dhruva Maharaj's prayers, ultimately what he wants to do, take shelter. So the goal of all these prayers is taking shelter of Krishna. I kind of really already spoke a lot about why we are doing, why we decided to do just the prayers. Of course, like I mentioned, we can read Srimad Bhagavatam over a period of time. But for me, prayers makes it very personal, because now I get to have friendship with Kunti Maharani, because she's revealing her mind and heart. She's sharing. It's like I know her. That kind of feeling you start getting with these great personalities. And that's why I choose prayers. And I think prayers are Very beautiful way to start your study. Even if you've not read Srimad Bhagavatam, if you start reading prayers, then you'll probably can go in between and fill the gaps. This is Srila Prabhupada's instruction. If we're serious and sincere devotees, the Lord will give us the intelligence to offer prayers properly. So he always, and several places Prabhupada mentioned prayers. I was actually doing a search. I think prayers, Prabhupada mentioned a few, at least 30, 33 times, even in the Veda base. Just referring that you should pray, and prayers are important part of our Krishna consciousness. So in this particular verse, we can very, very well recite, but this particular verse, like I mentioned, is our orientation verse, and we'll break this word down. Nigama. Nigama here refers to all the Vedic literatures. Yes, like Vyasadeva wrote all the Vedic literatures. Nigama here refers to all the Vedic literatures. Kalpataru. We've heard Kalpataru so many times. Devotees are in desire tree. Yes. Vancha Kalpataru. Yes. Kalpataru means desire tree. Galitam. Galitam means gal gaya. We say, right? In Hindi, we say gal gaya. The fruit is ripened. So over here, it is saying fully matured. It's not unmatured. It's not raw. Because you can't taste, you don't get the beauty or you don't get the sweetness of something till it's fully ripe. Yes. When it becomes ripe, what happens? It becomes sweeter. Yes. A raw fruit is usually not very sweet, but a ripened fruit, and here it's saying fully matured, fully ripened. Ripened what? Phalam, fruit. Nigama kalpataru galitam phalam. Shukha. Here, Shukha, even though Shukha is translated as bird, Srila Prabhupada translates Shukha here as Srila Shukadev Goswami, who is the original speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Mukhat is through the lips or the mouth. Amrita, Dravya. Amrita is nectar. Dravya is, it makes it literally soluble. Because sometimes these verses are so difficult to understand. But because we hear it from Shukha Mukha, this Shukadev Goswami takes that Amrita, which is already sweet because it is naturally a fully ripened fruit, but it makes it into what? Dravya, liquid form. No need to chew, just drink. You don't even want to work hard to chew, no problem. How we puree it for the kids when they're learning to eat or when they don't have all their teeth developed, and it makes it easily digestible. Yes, you remember doing that when you were raising children? Everything was pureed. So this is what Shukdev Goswami is doing for us. He is pureed the entire Srimad Bhagavatam so that it becomes what? Drava, semi-solid, soft, easily digestible. Samyutam. Nobody can say that Srimad Bhagavatam is not complete or it's not perfect. It's samyutam. It is samyutam means it is perfect in all respects. It includes everything because everything is included in the 10 aspects. So Srimad Bhagavatam includes everything. Samyutam, perfect in all aspects. All we have to do is Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Pibata. Drink. Relish. Relish what? Bhagavatam. Rasam. Rasa means juice. And not just simple juice. Nectarian juice. Rasa. Alayam. What is alayam? Until liberation or even in liberated condition. So what we have access to is the same thing that liberated souls are also drinking. Yes. Many times people become fascinated with what celebrities are doing, right? Let's use the products that the celebrities are doing. Or let's eat what the celebrities are eating. Or let's drink what the celebrities are drinking. So for devotional life, we also have celebrities. Who are these celebrities? The celebrities are liberated souls. What are the liberated souls doing? This verse is telling you. The liberated souls are also alayam. They are also drinking this rasam. Pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam. Yes, when we recite rasamalayam, they kind of combine together. But you have to understand that alayam is actually means that till liberation and after liberation also we're going to do the same thing. So you might as well get a taste for it. It's the same activity that you will be doing. Muhu. Once in a while? Once a week? No. Always. The liberated souls are drinking the nectar of this Kalpataru tree in the form of this Amrita Dravya that has been touched by the lotus mouth of Shukdev Goswami when constantly, always. Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. What does that mean? Muhu. Muhu here means always. Aho rasika. Rasika over here is those who are full in knowledge of mellows. Yes. They are drinking this always. Who are drinking? The rasikas. Who are full in knowledge of mellows. Where? On Bhuvi. On the earth. Bhavukaha. Expert and thoughtful. Devotees or great personalities who are expert and thoughtful are drinking this nectar. And that is why we should also drink this nectar. Yes. Anybody has anything to add or share? Please feel free to. We're already 3 minutes over. But I will share the PowerPoint. You already have the audio of this verse. Listen to it at least 10 times a day. And I can guarantee you, you don't have to do anything. Recite, listen to it first, then recite it. And if you do this 10 times morning and evening, you will definitely memorize this verse. And over here, I've also put, like it says, Nigamakalpataru galitam phalam. So, roar, kalpataror. I made it bigger there because you're emphasizing more over there. I wrote that down, but with the audio file, I figured audio file will be more effective than just giving you words. Yes, you want me to make audio files, right? I mean, it's available online. There's much better devotees, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, or you can, they might have this already recited, but I'll put it there anyway there are different meters, different melodies. I keep it simple as to what is comfortable for me to memorize and to recite in a Srimad Bhagavatam class. So my style of recitation is going to be more in line with what you can recite in a Srimad Bhagavatam class. So you can choose. You can memorize it from any other devotee. That meter is told completely your choice, but it's there for you. Okay. And I don't know why I'm not able to. So I just broke the same thing down like I already went over. And we already discussed that we have our weekly schedule. We have to find the text, read the purport, fill in your journal, memorize the verses, and then stay connected if you have any questions. So this week's reading, we're only actually focusing on one point. Actually, don't do this. I will send you the sheet of what you're going to be reading, right? Queen Quinty's prayers. This is the orientation. We're going to start with the week 1. We're not doing the orientation verses. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, reflections, you want to say something, please feel free to. Oh, thank you, Sangini. Thank you for your encouragement. Anybody else wants to say anything? Feel free to unmute.
Thank you so much for your efforts putting this together. When I came across with your post about prayers, my mind was like, I want to learn this. And I believe that because, we live in the United States and people talk about going to the churches and doing these simple prayers that kind of lighten your heart and you feel like you're connected to God. And my mind is like, do we have something? Can we do it like that? And I'm very new. I probably do not know, like, just a beginner, just like a kindergarten in this path. But thank you so much. I mean, I'm really fortunate that I came across with the post.
Thank you so much for being here. You have so many of us, and it's not just, I hope we can develop this as a community where we can help each other in such a way that we learn from each other. At the same time, everybody could be in different stages and could have different realizations. So thank you for sharing that, Madhu. And I'm going to try to get used to saying all of your names. So if when you come in, you have your devotional, if you have an initiated name, and you can just have that there. But yeah, let's get to know each other in a way. So, and you'll get to know each other only if you'll speak. Yes. Otherwise, you'll get to know only me because I'm going to be speaking. So I think we should set aside maybe at least half the session from hearing from each other. And maybe the first half, I can speak something. Yes? Will that work for everyone? So be prepared with your realization because I'm going to put you on the spot. Yes, and I'm going to have you all put each other on the spot. And if it's possible and it's practical for you to have your cameras on and, set aside, because what that's going to do, it's not going to let you multitask. It's going to force you to be there fully present if you have your camera on. Otherwise, the very fact that we have our cameras off is most likely because we're multitasking or we're in bed. That's also multitasking. So,
I have to say something. Sorry. My camera is off because I have to cook Raj Bhoga today. I have the service.
Sure.
But I will try, but these are the things I was just thinking I'm listening. But let's see that how much I will be able to put my endeavor into that. I will try my best. But yeah, as Krishna's mercy and devotee's mercy, I'm sure that I will go through it. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I feel blessed that I am part of this.
Thank you so much for cooking for the deities right now. You kind of reminded me. And which part of the world are you in?
In Calgary, Canada.
In Calgary. Okay. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Vanta Prabhu. You said that this course is for you, but it is actually your caring nature and their constant engagement that make it possible. Just like Srila Vyasadeva was not satisfied until he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam to glorify Krishna, but now you're following that spirit by sharing Krishna's glories with others and encouraging and empowering others. So thank you so much.
I paid her to say all this. Don't listen to her half the time. So, but she's a real pillar for the Vaishnavi ministry and of course for me too. So thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. And please get started with reading and really diving deeper into these prayers and these friendships that we can make here. If over the course of the next few weeks you find somebody that you connect with well, we'll make a buddy partner. Be accountable. Maybe you can even read together if you fall in the similar time zone, or if you find someone that you can connect with, and if you can reach out, and if you don't feel comfortable, somebody's reaching out to you, then that's fine too. So if you're able to join the WhatsApp group, you can join. That's why I kept it optional. And if you're not able to join the WhatsApp group, that's completely fine too. But if you want to connect with somebody that you like, you feel their mood is similar with yours, or their schedules are working and you want to read together, or even if you don't want to read together, you just want an accountability partner, this is the space. Reach out to someone that you can find over here. It's not just about me. It's about developing a community where we all want to help each other and we all want the same thing. We want to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's the reason why we signed up in the first place, right? Because we want to do this. And sometimes we haven't been able to do it by ourselves. We need a little bit of strength. We need a little bit of support, and we need a little accountability. So we're fine. We do whatever we can to make this successful. Yes. Should I start taking attendance? Shama Mohini, would you like to take attendance?
Yes.
Okay, good. So she's going to take attendance. So be nice to her. So, yeah, I think that might keep us a bit more accountable too. Okay, so we have 12 minutes over. My idea was that we start on time and we finish on time, but this is the orientation week. Yes.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. So
Hare
my
Krishna.
question is, would we have the recordings in
Yes.
case there's an emergency and we are not able to attend it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, what I'm going to
Thank
do,
you.
this is being recorded and I think it'll save on my cloud, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably just list it on YouTube. It's easier for me to, and it can be an unlisted video and just be shared with all of us, because if you're going to start sharing some personal things, then we can even stop the recording if we like in between. But if you're comfortable with sharing your personal things, I mean, I have a very open life, so it doesn't make a difference to me. But if some of you are not comfortable with being streamed on YouTube, we can stop the recording when you're sharing, or whatever is comfortable with everyone. Yes, but this is being recorded. Yeah, it's okay for everyone to be shared. You can mention or private message me and tell me, I'm not okay. So we can make sure either your camera is turned off or whatever privacy things you want is workable. Yeah, but we will definitely give recordings. The idea is not to hold anything back here. I'm trying to do this as a service. So everything is available. And like I mentioned, there's nothing copyrighted. I've copied everything from the acharyas. Please use everything. Make a copy, use your name, do what you want to with it, change things around. You can do any of that. All right. So you have full permission to use all the resources that are available. Yes. Okay. So Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much again for being here with us, and so grateful for all of your association. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. See you all next week.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Next week.